85% reservation in Ladakh, now facing legal hit against Supreme Court 50% quota cap rule. Hello friends, myself Virendra Kumar, and here I am going to discuss this current burning topic that is related to the reservation in our Indian Constitution. Ladakh, India's youngest union territory, is once again at the center of a heated national debate. So, what is the reason? The reason is a government move to reserve 85% of jobs and education seats for locals, now facing a major legal challenge due to the Supreme Court's 50% reservation cap rule. Is Ladakh trying to secure its identity, or is it breaching constitutional limits? So let us understand this in detail in this video. Ladakh was carved out of Jammu and Kashmir in 2019 by the present BJP government, and ever since locals have demanded constitutional safeguards for land, jobs and cultural identity. You know why? Because when the Article 370 was eliminated, the local people were start fearing that other states people can migrate and displace them in their jobs. That's why, in response, the Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council (LAHDC) proposed a reservation policy that keeps 85% of government jobs, college admissions, and land rights reserved for Ladakhi residents, that is, locals. What is the intent behind this reservation policy demanded by this LAHDC? To protect the region's fragile ecosystem and the demographic rights of its indigenous tribal populations like the Bodh, Balti and Changpa communities. So, what is the presently legal challenge? Now, here is the legal twist. The Supreme Court of India, in the landmark Indra Sawhney case of 1992, the 9 judges clearly ruled that reservation in jobs and education cannot exceed 50%, except in extraordinary circumstances warranted. So, so the big question is, does Ladakh qualify as an extraordinary case? The opposition voices and legal experts say no. No one is above the constitution. Even if Ladakh is a union territory without its own legislature, it still comes under the purview of the central law. Yeah, already petitions have started reaching the Supreme Court, questioning the legality of the 80% quota in the education and jobs. That is, the Supreme Court already has given the verdict that total reservation cannot exceed 50%, and now this Ladakh Union Territory is demanding 85% quota. For your information, other states have also tried many times to increase the reservation quota beyond the 50%. So why the 85% reservation was proposed. Let us understand why this policy was even proposed in the first place. The point is, the Ladakh has a small population of about 3 lakh people, largely tribal and eco-sensitive citizens. Locals fear large-scale migration, and because of that, job displacement after losing Jammu and Kashmir's special status due to the elimination of the Article 370. Cultural identity and language preservation are the top concerns. Students and youth want jobs reserved due to the lack of private sector opportunities. So, it is clear that while the intent is protection, but the method is now under question. So, here, what is the constitutional dilemma? The Constitution, guarantees equality under Article 14 and affirmation under Article 16 of the Indian Constitution. But this cannot be stretched indefinitely. There must be some certain limit and restrictions. Even in states like Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra, where reservations crossed 50%, the courts, that is the apex court, struck them down or questioned excess quotas unless backed by the strong data in their support. Legal experts argue that unless the Ladakh administration provides detailed socio-economic data providing extraordinary backwardness, the 85% quota cannot be legally sustained. So the question is, what is the national impact and political fallout? Friends, the Ladakh case could have a domino effect. As if 85% quota is allowed here, other tribal or smaller regions may push for similar exceptions. So this Ladakh will not be the only region which is demanding 85% quota. Other tribal or other smaller regions may ask for the similar reservations. So the politically the BJP-led center has promised safeguards for Ladakhi people, but now faces a legal and constitutional bind because no one is above the law. So the Congress and the regional Ladakhi groups are demanding clarity, some calling it a betrayal of the people's trust if the quota is struck down. So what the people of this country are saying, we know that people are trying to express their concern. They said we just want our jobs and culture protected. 85% is not too much if outsiders take over everything. Like we are not against the constitution, but our reality is different. So the point is, at the same time, the constitutional scholars warn that legal shortcuts could weaken India's uniform rule of law because our nation governs with the help of the Indian Constitution and law of the land, and no one is above the law of the land, Indian Constitution. So everything, whether it is reservation or any policy, should be as per the Indian Constitution. So the conclusion is the fight in Ladakh is more than just about numbers. It is a tug of war between local identity and constitutional principles. Will the Supreme Court allow an exception or will it reform the 50% cap rule across whole over India. The question is for you. One thing is clear. The Ladakh reservation case is a test for Indian democracy, tribal rights, and federal balance. So, friends, what do you think? Should Ladakh be allowed an 85% reservation, or should the 50% cap apply everywhere in the India? Comment below, like this video, and subscribe us for more explanation of the burning issue in the simple language. Thank you.